Hello, everybody. I'm Sean Robinson,
I'm Carson Grubaugh.
And I'm Brandon Graham.
and this is Formalism Friday.
Woo, it's back.
How you guys doing?
We're exuberant. No, I think things are good.
You got some kanji on your shirt, Brandon.
Oh yeah, I'm wearing a Junji Ito shirt that somebody mailed me, and I don't know if you can see it. I have a DeForest Kelly pin that my girlfriend gave me.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
No bones about it.
You guys have a favorite Ito book, short story?
I feel like Uzumaki is definitely his best work, but I really like the 2-page or 3-page story where people start seeing like holes in the shape of them on a mountainside.
Jesus Christ, that is the story. You just never forget that thing.
Yeah, he's the most Who Hurt You comic artist I can think of.
I've tried to read a few of his. I got a couple books back there, but the first thing I tried to read was the Tomy, and then I read Gyo, and those are both just so ruthlessly nasty, like gross, that I almost gave up on him. But I did like Censor, which Sean, I think we're going to talk about eventually. And then there's a short story where it's the nightmare one for me, where people like go into a hole in like the side of a wall where it's exactly their size. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the one Brandon's talking about. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that is like so, because I'm claustrophobic. Like,
and when the guy the fact that they all just appear there and the guy identifies his, oh, it's mine.
Yeah,
I mean, there's just something so sick and inevitable about that.
Yeah, the two you mentioned that you started out reading were the ones that I was excited to check out. And then he's still an amazing cartoonist, but I think horror is so difficult because you have to hit such a specific thing, and with the holes and with the spirals, it's like it really clicks. But like Gyo is basically like, what if sea animals had robot legs? And it stops being scary really quick, where you're just like, that's just a shark with robot legs. It's kind of silly.
Well, and it's just gross. It's like everyone's like fucking recycling their own farts and burps, and like, just, I don't know. There's something like the Human Centipede movie too. Like, I hated that film because it's just nasty. It's not terrifying. It's just gross.
Yeah.
And so I need to read more of his work. Like Censor and that one with the holes are more psychologically unsettling than nasty. And
okay, what's the gist of Censor?
It's like this chick with this like lava glass for hair or something. I don't know. And it's more like a Lovecraft type of cosmic entities from the other side that, I don't know. It's a stranger book. I think it's more recent as well. But it's
and I think he has autobiographical comics as well.
Interesting.
I know he's like does really happy comics about his cats.
Yeah, that's the ones I'm thinking of.
So what are we looking at today with our Formalism Friday?
It's totally not Junji Ito. Something totally different.
Whoa, what is this?
Pretty badass. This is from Partners and Sons. Sent me this magazine that's called Scarf, and it's just a bunch of, it's like a newspaper thing that has just a bunch of like 1 or 2-page comics in it, and they're always around a theme. So this issue's music. This is part of a larger strip by Brain Space Comics and the Toon Goon. But I really liked this, and I figured as a musician you would enjoy this as well.
Yeah, there's something about the feeling you get when you're looking at pictorial space being divided, and then you realize, oh hey, this like a map is essentially a comic too. I don't know if I've ever had that thought about music, other than it being as like a graphic design element. Like you see, like there's a few Cerebus word balloons where you've got incorporation of like somebody's whistling essentially, and you get like the tones or whatever. But this is like implying that the music moves in a similar way to the comics page. I mean, obviously that's what's happening, but
yeah, I mean, but musical
notation,
the
thing you're looking at.
Musical notation is a more like mathematical version of mapping time than anything else, really, right?
Yeah. and not dissimilar to comics, except that you have a sort of fixed, fixed speed if you're listening to it being read.
Which is interesting because that's implied here being in 3/4, right?
Yeah, and you've got the implication that the action on the bottom is happening across the faster action is happening on the top there. What's happening in the middle between the two staves? This guy creeping along.
Yeah, I think
know.
I think it seems to me like it's all kind of timing based, and so you're seeing that the woman is just incredibly fast with their attacks, and then I think the guy at the bottom, there's an implication that he's kind of stronger and slower, and then the other guy is just like going even slower because his whole thing is to sneak up on someone.
Right, he's silent. He's silent because he's not being voiced because he's between the staves.
Well, wouldn't you also normally put the lyrics there if there were lyrics? Wouldn't you normally write lyrics in between the staves?
Above the top stave, not between them, not necessarily anyway. Well, yeah, maybe if like it was a choral like reduction score or something, I don't know.
I almost wish that they'd use the what's it called, the musical symbols there as weapons in this, because they're just right next to them.
Yeah, that would be cool. They would look like something to bludgeon someone with, or a sword. Yeah.
Well, this is clever as hell. I'm terrified by the technique of the flute player there, on the top where the top right.
Oh yeah, the weird
right
double fisting of flute.
Yes.
That's why he has to be stopped.
Yeah,
He does need to be stopped, right?
I didn't get the whole page. Sorry, I was so focused on that bit. What a performance.
Looks like we've tipped the scales for justice. That's right, muscle core. Evil is back where it belongs, underground.
Yeah, the rest of it was kind of like that, but this really stood out to me and again, like, I don't know, Sean, could you sing this for us?
Well, there's no notes, so there's three, you've got 3 beats, so like quarter beats for the woman who's moving fast, and then you've got boom, boom, boom happening on the bottom, boom, boom, and then when it's like intersecting with the other thing, I mean, I guess the implication would be like it changes to boom, he starts moving faster in the last stanza. Boom, 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 boom. Something like that.
Yeah, that's cool. I like
the villains are all musical themed too. Like they have that music note on his helmet. I kind of want to know what happens when he does the flute now. Is it to the notes or something?
I don't know. You want me to go grab it real quick?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got to be punished for his for whatever it is that he's trying to do. You're right. It's just there's something. Yeah.
I don't know where I put it.
This is really fascinating. I wonder. This is the kind of thing that I always check. Like I'm like, did the artist like photocopy or just reuse all the elements of it, or did they redraw the 3/4 thing and then? And I guess it looks like they redrew the whatever the bow on the left side of the thing. It looks like different lines every time.
Yeah, these are all hand drawn for sure. Like there's a lot of variety in the thickness of these elements. Yeah, it's all hand drawn for sure.
Because when I was a teenager, it was always the worst crime if you saw a panel and they just copied the same, especially if it was a face and someone was sitting there and didn't react and they didn't. So when I would do that, I would always, even if it was the same exact thing, I would light table the face, so at least the lines were slightly different.
I'd always throw different hatching on there, like throw a few pieces of, or have a piece of hair come down, or have some kind of mild like throw off your eyeball.
Yeah. So the one time I did allow myself to just copy something is in King City. I had someone looking at a photo, and then I just repasted the photo in it and erased some lines to make it simpler, and I felt like that was justified because it was just a static image.
I stupidly actually redrew every panel and all of those jack sequences in the beginning part of Strange Death of Alex Raymond. There's no stats in any of those first 24 pages that I did.
Oh wow, when she's looking through comics in the comic store.
Right.
Yeah, while she's sitting there on the stool, or where it's just her face, or like where she's standing, just like staring into the void. Those were drawn each individually. And then by volume 2, I was like, nah, no, we're just statting these for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing.
There's a GIF somewhere that Carson made of all of them together in a loop, and it looks like Dr. Katz. You know, these like tiny little variations as she's like,
oh, fascinating.
But it does add a sense of time more, because like you get a sense of like the hair shifting and
yeah.
You know.
Interesting. Yeah. And also that's the sequence where she's kind of questioning reality, right? Like she's like, where'd this book come from? So maybe that adds a little bit to that.
Yeah, I was just from like a dumb like fine art standpoint, like, well, if I only draw one panel, there's nothing cool to sell. I can't put it on a wall. Like, so I was doing it from that standpoint. So that has bit me in the ass for selling stuff from the second half of it, because like there's just scattered bits.
I just had a thing happen where I just did a pinup for this Menage a Trois book that's coming out, and I really like the comic. It's a web comic. It's easy to find, and so I did this pinup for it, and then the artist wrote me and was like, "Oh, I really want that original." So now I'm going to actually go in and fill in the blacks that I just did in Photoshop on the original percentage, so it's more presentable. And it's one of those things where I cut corners because I thought no one would see this version of it.
It's a real like I don't know. I continue to like go back and forth on that, about the sellability, like how much I want to preserve it as a sellable original object and how much I want to just get the job done. Like with the thing I want to do, it's like I think the easiest way is all digital, but there's a part of me that really wants to like paint the whole thing.
Oh, sure.
I'm impressed that you can do that. I find that mentally, I just overwork anything if I don't put in the blacks before I do it, because I'm not mentally able to like fill in those areas and just accept that they're going to be dense. Like my eye needs to see the density in order to know how much I need to build up.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So much of what I do is in color that I feel like I have to kind of do a lot of guesswork. Anyway, I ran into another problem recently too, where I did this Emma Frost commission. And I always spill coffee on my work, but this one I spilled coffee on something that someone paid way too much money for. So now I'm just light tabled it and I'm redrawing the thing, even though
oh god,
fine. And so maybe this version, I'm hoping I can, it's like there's no drawing where you're like, something doesn't slightly annoy me. Right. So I'm going to have an opportunity to polish those out of the second version.
Do you feel though, like I'm always worried that if I draw something a second time, and maybe that's why I did that and that you don't know Jack one, I always feel like it's worse the second time around because that original, like,
you gave it the juice.
Yeah, the original juice is gone.
That's always a worry, but I mean that's a good argument for penciling looser and looser. So you don't I've noticed lately I used to always show like, here's my layouts, and I'd be very proud of how my layout stuff looked. And on the stuff I've been doing recently, because I'm trying to get a little faster with my pages, the layouts look horrible. They're unpresentable.
Good.
Yeah, that's good.
Fantastic.
It's a note for you and nobody else.
Yeah, exactly. So it is difficult but usually it's something with movement. Like if it's just like a face or something static, I feel like that I can redraw over and over. It's just when you get like someone running or something and you just like, that's exactly perfect right then. And if I like, there's a thing in an old series I did where I drew a leg kind of backwards because it looked better in the pencils and I just couldn't get the movement. And so I just drew a messed up leg just to try to capture the look of the pencils.
Just leave it, let it be.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'm super impressed by this page, and I hope this semi-anonymous person comes out of the woodwork to tell us how they thought of this idea, where they got it, and what they're going to do when we steal it.
Brain Space Comics and the Toon Goon.
I like the Toon Goon. I feel like that's one of those things that someone was said a lot to themselves, and they're like, I guess I'm going public, but this is a name.
There was another one in this book where their handle was Capricorn,
Nice.
and I forget what the other one. There was like Sparkle Farts or something like that.
The Toon Goon is that you got to have that like embroidered on your hoodie for 3 years before you actually use it as your handle.
Yeah.
Capricorn, I think you can just go for it, right? Once you get it on your state ID, you're good.
Yeah. Once you have that on your flag flying in front of your castle, then it's Capricorn for life.
Yeah.
Well, your flag only goes up after you've rescued the princess, as it should be.
After you've rescued the Capricorn.
I'm going to see if I can make a reference to the first Super Mario Brothers game in every video that we do going forward. So just, keep that out there.
It's a good one. When you can't find a book, when what you're talking about, you can say that it's in another castle.
Right. Well, going back to your Mario question, that's an interesting question because you've been talking a lot about directionality lately. Is Japanese music?
Let's hit that in a second video.
Okay.
With Brandon.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We'll do it because
right.
that's a question. All right. We'll stop and we'll go make another one.
Like all right.
2 weeks from now.
So everyone, if you have enjoyed Formalism Friday, I am asking you right now, imploring you and pleading with you, please, please, please tell your friends, embroider it on your sweater vest. If you have a sweater dress, hand stitched, cross stitched, anything like that, we would really like a big FF on there. And send us a picture.
And booty shorts, just one F on each cheek.
This has got blue.
Well, we've gone from Judo Ito to what did we cover? Music? Okay. Yeah.
Formalism Friday After Dark. Formalism Friday Nights.
There we go.
Make sure to like, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell.